So I just brought this over to set up. It's a different one. It's going out to a guy through SoundPure, and we cover. I don't know if Mike covered this over when you're talking to Mike in pickups, but we put this protective film on. So at the store, if somebody plays the guitar before somebody else gets it, it'll be protected. But this is going straight to the customer, so I'm going to take those off. So when he goes by Lance Panda, when Lance Panda opens his case, it's just blah, because this just makes it kind of dull. Like you were noticing in RJ's video, you were commenting on, oh, look at the pick guard. Oh, it's so shiny. Why aren't all of them that shiny? And it's because it has that film on it that protects it until the end customer gets it. It'd be nice to take it off, but if it gets played in the store at all, it gets marred up. So we let the end customer take it. So we have a whole gym setup rundown. I don't think there's anything too secret here. And this is all guidelines. It's still got to be a lot of feel, you know, like as you're doing it. This is a real interesting one. He has the script logo. We actually even did a scrape on the headstock. That came out really cool. With he asked for custom buttons, block inlays, 2 humbuckers, Gibson styly knobs. Fred, our assembly guy, is great at getting it nearly almost there. It's nearly ready to go in the case when we get it over here. But the first thing we do is we take the tremolo, put it in here, and we adjust it. Jim has a certain way that he likes it to feel. We do that. We check that the tuners are straight on the back of the headstock. You know, we just put a ruler across it and make sure they're dead straight. Tweak them, and then we tighten it down on the front with a little wrench. And then gotta put on my old guy glasses. Stretch the strings. I was just showing you how that goes. You know, you just want to kind of stretch them like that. Boom, stretch the strings, tune the guitar. We use a Peterson tuner. We love them. And then we lay it. Jim's worked on how he likes to measure a neck with this device that shows the relief. In the old days, Jim would just look at them, and he was deadly at just looking at them, and he'll still use this now. But we lay this in on the guitar, top of the frets, because we dress the frets, so then the frets are the highest thing on the neck. This neck needs a little adjustment. We want it to be 2/1000 under, so 2/1000 forward bow, which is basically nearly dead straight. Cut the nut before we glue it in. We cut it, and basically there's a certain height they have to be. That's pretty much eyeball. Jim teaches us how to, you know, where he wants it. This one's obviously high, so I got to take it down with, you know, nut files. You can see how old these nut files are. Jim actually likes that they're old and kind of dull, so that you don't whoop too far and you have to make another new nut. So we cut the nut, set that up, and then we glue in the nut, 1 drop on the treble side. From there, we set the D so that the screws aren't sticking out of the saddle. We set the D, and then we use the bridge posts to set the D to its proper height, and this is what we go for at the 12th fret to the center of the string. So the D is 2 millimeters. So we just the outside, we use this, make sure it stays straight on the back. If I show it to you this way, that's going to be parallel with the top of the guitar. So we'll take these two up and down until that D, with it sitting flush, so you know the screws aren't sticking out, is at 2 millimeters. And then from there we set the rest of the action across the rest of the strings to those numbers. When we're all done, we make sure that these screws aren't sticking out too much once they're actually adjusted. Like, that's too much. Once they're actually adjusted, this would be acceptable. That's how we want to see it. but we have shorter ones, so if we have to, we can go grab shorter ones and put them in there. Yeah, and then we set the claw on the back for the tremolo so that the tremolo sits slightly, this is exaggeration, but just slightly forward. It gives you just a little more to pull back and puts it in a nice place for where the bar sits and stuff. Slightly tilted forward. Then we intonate the guitar perfectly, which I'll do. If you intonation, if you come over to this side, you're comparing the harmonic of a string, well, let's just do E since it's selected. You tune it perfectly with the harmonic, then you play the note, and you can see it's sharp. Some people would call that close enough for horseshoes, but at Tyler, that has to be pulled back. So when it's sharp, you bring the bridge screw that way, so you tighten this up and make the string longer. If it was flat, you make the string shorter. So we intonate the guitar perfectly. Then we adjust the pickups. That's a total art and feel thing. We get the bridge pickup as close as we can, get a lot of power out of it, and then we just basically balance it with the neck pickup. And Jim has his stuff that he plays. I play this kind of a chord so I can hear the low strings against the high strings. Get that nailed. And yeah, so adjust the pickups, and then we drill the back plate. Jim made this fancy dancy little tremolo cover, goes on here. I'm just gonna, I gotta clean it up. I don't want to put it on this nice finish, but it has these little standoffs that go in there, and boom, we drill this one, and we put a drill piece in there, so it just then makes it all solid. We drill the other 6, boom, and then we countersink with the Dremolo. So it's got a little, clean it off so it doesn't crack the finish. And we put on the back plate. In this case, the tremolo plate, I should say. In this case, it's a rear route guitar, so the next thing we do is put on the back plate. And no trem cover. I'm glad we're talking out loud, and I'm glad I didn't set that down on here, thinking, hey, if it scratches it a little, it's under the plate. Yeah, no trem cover. He wants to go no trem cover. So we put the plates on, and then I weigh it, write it on here, and then we pound in the serial number by hand. Just for fun, since that's the last thing before it goes in the case, I will pound the serial number, and you can see how these were all pounded in from the beginning of time. Literally the first, Jim even pounded in the ones with the old days with the Strat headstock. That long ago, he was already pounding in the serial numbers. He would just pound in a date. And then he started numbering them. The first 10 were hand signed, but this box of, I don't even know what you call these things. This has pounded every serial number into every single Tyler ever made. Someday that'll probably sell for more than a Tyler to some but crazy collector that wants it. In fact, I'll probably hear from people because I said that out loud. How much will you sell it for? You could buy another one. I want that one. That pounded in my serial number. So we just put a piece of this particular tape. It's a double stick, so it's kind of thick, so it gives me a sit-down place. And then I look at the number 22258. Jim built this so that the neck sits perfectly solid. It gives a really nice pounding feel, so you can really feel this 2 sink into the wood. 2, 5, and 8. 8's easy, I just got to make sure it's not 90 degrees off. Pound in the number. Boom. And then we hit it with some super glue. It's way too much. Hit it with a little accelerator. a little bit of super glue go down in there and you don't even see it, but now it's keeping it from cracking down the line as the guitar gets older. And that's it. And then we polish it and go throw it in the case. But like an easy bake, I'm now going to actually do the setup, which takes longer than it took to explain. So there you have it. That's the Tyler setup.